Dust is in my eyes, my blood is on the ground. Quiet little chuckle and the shuffling of the boots of the coward that shot me down. He turns toward the sunrise and I hear him softly say, I guess you've met your macho man as the colors fade to gray.
Howdy, partners. Dust and Blood is a rabble-rousing, rootin'-tootin', bronco-bustin' podcast not suitable for the ears of young'uns. Take a gander at the content warnings and listen with care.
Welcome to Dust and Blood, a narrative play podcast set in the wild, weird fantasy West. I'm Blake, your GM, and our players are Keith Curtis as Jasper Graves, Corinne Hill as Myra Sting, Zach Parker as Maz Copernicus Pryor, and Gail Parker as Bonesaw. Last time on Dust and Blood, our heroes faced down Carter's gang in a battle spanning the entirety of Perdition. The Pinkertons shot Carter dead, but Bonesaw brought him back, setting him on the trail to freedom. The train is pulling out of the station. Terrence and Clarence and Avery are walking back away from the main area. Catalina and Van Horn are returning to the station. The entire area is that kind of post-battle chaos of like, well, now what? Bonesaw. As you're standing there, Terrence comes over and claps a hand on your shoulder.
Bonesaw flinches hugely and jumps around. He just got his mask back, and before that it was really traumatic for him, so he's still pretty twitchy, and looks like he would like to flee the scene as soon as he might.
Oh, easy there, partner. Just wanted to say, saw some of your fine handiwork back there. You know, given the little slip. Come talk to me in a little while. We have some things to discuss.
Yes, later about my show. You said you'd come see it. I'll see you then to talk about that thing. And right now, I think it's Alonesaw time for Bonesaw. Actually, I'm going to go do that. Goodbye. He just turns and goes.
Bonesaw starts stalking off down towards the south. Terrence is kind of the only person of law who's remaining, and he looks around and says, "It was a fine dust-up y'all were involved in. Now, would you all mind giving your friend here his share of the bounty?" And he comes out and he hands each of you $450, and after he does that, he comes back around to all of you and gives you another $50, saying that it is the bonus for, you know, the job well done. Who's gonna take Bonesaw's, because Bonesaw's fucking off?
Maz will pipe up and say, I'll get it to Bones. Just give him a while.
Right. Take care, all of you, and good luck dealing with Miss Gray.
Miss who now?
He walks off.
Maz is just gonna sort of announce, I need a drink, and start limping to the nearest bar.
That would definitely be Casey Long's The Throne Shoot. You walk into the bar and you see Casey Long, this Eastern Dragonborn with blue scales, putting away a pair of revolvers just under the desk and sweeping up some of the broken glass. As you enter, he says, "We're closed."
Well, open back up. I'm thirsty.
Casey just kind of looks and says, "All right, what'll it be, stranger?" He wipes some glass off of the counter.
Give me a shot of the strongest thing you have.
Works for me. And he goes, looks at the shelf, grabs one bottle, starts to pull it off the shelf, bottom just falls out and splashes on the ground. Tosses it on the ground, grabs the second bottle, takes it down, pours a shot for you, sets it down, pours a second shot, sets it down in front of you, Maz, pours a third shot, and downs it himself.
Long day, isn't it?
The longest week, longest month.
Maz kind of looks back at the trail of blood he's kind of let in since he's still bleeding from the leg and says, "Do you have a spare bandage or two? Seems I might have gotten myself in some trouble."
So bad.
Casey just looks at it, looks down, and says, not the worst bloodstain in here this week. All right. He pulls out a bottle of a red liquid. It looks like it's about a quarter full. He kind of looks at it, grimaces, puts it away. I'm gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way. I'm a little tapped out. Pulls out a bandage kit and just kind of gets a bandage on it. It's not great. It hurts a lot. He says, honestly, if you're wanting somebody to sew you up, better to go to Vivian next door, but...
No, I just need something for the pain. Another round.
I can do that. And he pours another bottle. Between the two of you, you're probably going to kill a bottle.
Okay.
Just mark off 5 silver pieces.
Okay.
Maz is such a badass.
Myra wants a nap. She's been unconscious multiple times already, but she wants to be unconscious in a way where she's not knocked unconscious. So I think she saw all this happen with Bonesaw and sees Bonesaw going off and getting away from people, and she kind of makes a mental note to check up on him when the time comes. But she's looking around the town and everything's in shambles, and so she's going to go to the innkeeper and be like, yeah, so we had a little fight break out.
As soon as you get there, Myra, Miss Gray, the elf lady, she's actually pulled off the bottom of the dress and is just in, like, leggings in the fighting position. And she has her parasol ready to, like, fight. It appears to be some sort of weapon, and she looks fucking pissed. And as soon as you come in, she's like, "Land's sakes, I'm going to beat all of you in. Do you know what you have done to that room?"
Technically it was the ghost horse.
Oh, the horse.
Oh,
Snitch!
And the centaur. The centaur.
there we go.
Do you have any idea how expensive that is going to be to fix?
Yeah, I'm really sorry. Listen, the whole town's kind of in shambles, but I'll just tell me what you need, and I'll help clean up. I'll help pay and stuff.
Well, it's going to be quite a bit. It's
Yeah.
if we look at how much it's cost, the damage that it's going to be,
Yeah.
at least $430
Oh.
for the full repair to make sure that there's no issues.
That's like my entire pay.
That's oddly specific.
She looks very sadly at the money she was just given.
Don't do it! No!
If we help a little bit with some of the mending, could you maybe shave a few dollars off of that? Possibly.
Make a persuasion check for me.
Okay.
Not a persuasion. Diplomacy.
Oh, that's 6.
She glowers and says, "The fact that I'm allowing you to stay in this place even after you caused so much damage,
Yeah.
I think is more than enough."
But yeah, that's fair. Okay. Here. She passes forward the money, and she's like, again, really, really sorry. And, well, I mean, because we have other money from the stuff we sold.
Mm-hmm.
She pays for the money, and then she goes to get up the stuff, because we're clearly not spending the night there. Or are we?
Catalina is covering your costs to stay there for another night.
Okay.
You would just be in a different room.
Okay.
How's Jasper handling all
Well,
this?
first of all, Jasper got away remarkably undamaged. He took a little stick to the belly towards the beginning of the fight, but he's actually in pretty decent shape. Smokey, about the same. And he's leading Smokey, following in Myra's footsteps, until he sees the reception she gets. And before he actually approaches into the air, says, Smokey, let's go see if we can help folks put out some fires. And we're going to kind of duck down the side street there before we get to the corner of the building. And I am certain that there are fires what need putting out in this here town.
Dude, can I roll a perception check to see if Myra notices him just effing
Yes.
up?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, roll stealth, Jasper, and roll
All right.
perception, Myra.
Ooh, stealth. Okay.
An 18 perception from Myra.
And a stealth of 33.
33. Myra,
A lone tumbleweed crosses
it
the
really
street.
sucks that you are going through all this alone.
Bad karma for all of you. Bad karma for all of you.
You know deep in your heart, if your friends were there to help you, they would be there, got your back this entire time. Jasper, you start to look around town. Give me a perception check.
Ooh, my other good skill here. Ooh, nat 1.
Ooh!
Nat 1.
Karma.
You know, surprisingly, the entire town seems like it's okay. You see the Undertaker, with his crow on his shoulder, dragging dead bodies to the graveyard, to the cemetery. He seems like he's got that in hand. You see a pair of what appears to be a tiefling and an Aasimar woman, in the middle of the street, just rushing barrels back and forth. But they've got it under. They were just probably taking water. It seems fine.
All right, so Jasper is standing in the middle of a burning town going, this is fine.
Yeah, nothing is really picking up as it's one of those situations. There's almost too much going on for any one thing to stand out as the thing that needs done. And it's a bit of information overload as people are running around and trying to deal with all of this.
All right, well, he does that for a while, and failing to actually get anyone's attention or to find a thing that he can actually work on, he's going to go find Silent Joe and just sit and have a smoke with him, because I'm sure Silent Joe is just kind of going, yeah.
He's just sitting on his front porch, did not move the entire battle, had his rifle out on his lap, but nobody messed with him. He didn't mess with anybody. As you approach, he just holds out his pipe for you to take a long drag. You actually see, amazingly with your Nat 1 perception, Sheriff Catalina is actually at the body of the one gnoll who had been pulled up and shot in the head by the jackal fellow. You see her kind of lift him up and slap him around a couple of times, and the gnoll kind of... He appears to be alive and very much under arrest.
I'll actually stand up, take my hat off, and say, you need a hand there, Sheriff?
It's okay. This fellow's just got a bit of a knock in the head. I'm sure he'll be fine. I need to... I'll find a place for him in the jail cell. I have some questions for him.
The jail cell that was destroyed?
Oh yeah, we did that too.
She gets this look on her face like... Fuck. And she just pauses for a second, holds him. Do you like trains, fella? And she starts dragging him back down the street.
I look at Silent Joe and say, well, that's settled.
How's Bonesaw handling all this?
Bonesaw is walking as fast as he can back to the wagon. He breaks into a little jog on the way, and he jogs past these, horrific flash shadows from the gnolls that were just, vaporized by Maz's, things. He gets to the wagon, and he sees his horses, which are two sticky piles on the ground because they're dead. And the wagon is, half burnt from the gnolls that threw the alchemist's fire on it, and he's just, holding it together, and he wrenches open the back, and then closes it, and he's having Alonesaw time.
As Bonesaw, you slam the door to the back of your wagon, it kind of and falls off.
Oh. Damn it. He's gonna pick it up and try to wedge it.
It kind of fits in. The wagon is pretty damaged. It got pretty badly singed, and it's not going anywhere for a little bit because there's 2 dead horses strapped to it right now.
Bonesaw sits down inside the wagon and just, like, lets his head kind of thunk against the wall. And just deep sigh. I think after a little while, he'll emerge in a somewhat better state, maybe an hour later, and go look for Jasper.
At this point, Jasper will have been sitting on the corner with Silent Joe for a while, having a couple of different smokes from the pipe. Silent Joe has been surprisingly talkative, and by talkative for Silent Joe, that means he's said more than a few words to you as he describes the different tobaccos that you two are sharing. And you see Bonesaw approaching.
Alrighty.
Jasper! Dear friend, boon companion, could you possibly, lend your services to help me get my wagon back in working order? It seems to have lost a door or two.
Well, that doesn't sound too good, does it? Listen, Silent Joe, I'd like to, just a sec here, Bonesaw. I'd like to set up a tab with you. Here's $10 in earnest. And if I could dip into your grocers there and pull out a couple of apples for Smokey, I'd appreciate it.
Aww.
I think Smokey's done deserved them.
Silent Joe, you actually see he looks a bit surprised as you hand over $10 and he says, "Of course, if you wish, you're certainly welcome in this store."
Oh, thank you kindly. So I'm going to pick out a couple of plump red delicious and say, "Okay, Bonesaw, lead the way," and I'm going to give Smokey an apple as we go and another one when we get there.
As we're walking along, Blake and I talked about this out of character, but I think you said that the compulsion from the gun is kind of starting to wane enough that we can maybe recognize we're under it?
Yes, at this point, more so for you than Moz. Moz has had the draw for it. He held it for longer. He's still feeling the draw. Bonesaw, something is starting to click in your head that something ain't quite right about that gun.
Mm-hmm. So I've been wondering about my gun. The one that Smokey's been, taking care of for me. I don't know, something seems strange about it. What do you think?
What do I think? I think it's a plumb cursed weapon, what devours the soul of whoever touches it and turns him into a mean, ornery killing machine. But that's just my opinion.
All that bad, is it?
Well, let's just say that folks would have been traveling together all nice and peaceful like suddenly wanted to kill each other over it. And seemed to be overcome by violent compulsions when they took hold of it. I think it's best it remain out of sight. And he's kind of eyeballing. I'd like to make a sense motive. That's what it's called.
As I lead you away from other people.
21.
Okay. I think you get that Bonesaw is as sincere as he gets. He doesn't really like to admit that he's been in the wrong, but in his own special way, he's like, maybe that was a bad idea. Trying to extend a bit of a olive branch.
Alrighty. Nonetheless, Jasper is going to lean over to Smokey and say, "Smokey, anybody comes after that saddlebag, you just hightail it, okay? I'll meet you outside of town at sundown." This means absolutely nothing to Smokey. But it sounds like, yeah, okay, man, he really has something going with that horse.
Yeah, Smokey just eats another one of the apples.
You and Smokey really seem to have a sort of connection. Where did you meet?
Well, it's kind of a funny story that I never really thought about until this very second.
We probably arrive at the wagon around this time, and Bonesaw starts pulling out, like, some spare lumber and stuff.
It's a very interesting story, but it's a story for another time.
Oh, I like that. It's very mysterious. I'll have to check back in.
Yeah, well, come back next week. There will be a better story.
Those damn gnolls. I assume it was gnolls. I didn't actually see.
There's vaguely gnoll-shaped piles of ash nearby.
I look at the wagon. What is his impression of what has happened to this wagon?
From what Jasper sees, it looks like a massive explosion happened. You see the horses are toasted. You see the flash shadows of black soot, except for around the view of a person who was standing close enough to the wall when they got blown up, as the gnolls were. The wagon itself is looking like it's in pretty rough shape. It got pretty badly singed. It looks like one of the axles might be a little bit wonky. The door on the back is fallen off a little bit.
Yes, there were a few hiccups with Alonesaw Time.
You're gonna need a carpenter, a blacksmith, and probably a wainwright, I think. Maybe even a wheelwright. You're gonna need a lot of rights to right this wagon. Wow. Yeah, I'll help you move it off the street if you want, but I'm not sure where it... I'm not sure I've got what the skills it takes to do repair work like this. Where'd you get your wagon?
Now listen, I as Gabby know, but it's questionable whether Bonesaw remembers. Bonesaw, he goes to answer, and then he pauses for a minute, and seems to think, and he says, "Oh, I picked it up somewhere.
Sounds like a story for another time.
I suppose."
All right, then. Where are we going to take this here thing? You know, town's pretty quiet. I've taken a walkabout, and it looks like everything's pretty much under control. So we shouldn't have any problem finding a nice hole-up place for this, but...
You see a burning tumbleweed rolling through the middle of town.
Yep, mighty peaceful.
You know, I might need to ask Moz. He's got some special magic that helped with things. I knew you mentioned you had some carpentry skills, and I need to find horses, and it's been a day.
Yeah, well...
And we haven't even gotten paid yet!
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thanks for reminding me. You do need to find Moz. He's holding your share of the reward money.
But I'm sure that's fine. He didn't go to a bar, did he?
He's probably a real trustworthy sort.
No, I trust him with it.
Yeah, I don't know where you'd find him. Possibly planning some further mayhem.
Yes, I wasn't paying attention to a lot. Was all of that... Bonesaw kind of makes explosion motions with his hands. Seems like Moz's handiwork.
I'm assuming it was Moz because Moz has a tendency to go on and on about that there necklace, what he wears around his neck with all the fireballs sitting in it. And threatening to go all conflagration on us there if we need that sort of support. I'm assuming that's what happened.
Bonesaw looks at the flash shadows kind of impressed, and he's like, well, this is a new high for him, so I guess I need to congratulate him.
Yeah, I know. Like, really makes a fella think, just kind of staring at this, wondering, wonder if, like, that could be a method of photography or something. Capture some images. Need a really bright flash.
Moz takes this opportunity to show up at the cart very, very much inebriated. He is limping. There's blood everywhere. You're not sure if it's his or someone else's, but he's just kind of shambling, not quite going in a straight line.
Oh, Moz.
Muttering to himself a little bit.
Moz, I could have fixed you up. I could have got you drunk. Come here.
Keep moving there, Smokey.
I went to the bar.
Just wait around the corner there.
I'll bring you to the bar after I wrap your leg. Come, sit. And he tries to put down the table on the side of the wagon, if it's still working.
Let me roll something.
Also, did they burn my sign?
It is slightly burned.
Damn and blast!
However, the sign would definitely be a removable and small enough piece that it could be mended with mending.
All right. How's the table?
The table is actually okay.
Oh, good.
It survived all of it, surprisingly.
Bonesaw will surreptitiously mix up an elixir of remove curse, because I have one more at 3rd level, and while I'm bandaging Moz's leg, just hand that to him and be like, drink up, it's good for you.
I'll have a whiskey on the rocks.
Here's whiskey for you. He hands it to him. It's a special kind. Don't worry about the taste.
Moz downs it in one gulp and doesn't seem very affected. He's a little too drunk to care about flavor right now.
Yeah, make a will save for me, Moz.
Oh, fantastic.
14. And what's your...
Spell save DC?
Yes.
17.
Okay.
Boom.
17. Perfect. Now make a caster level check for me, Bonesaw. 22. Moz, you knock this back. And as you do, you start to feel dizzy. Something doesn't feel right. It's cutting through the drunkenness a little bit. You're not feeling great. And as you're standing there, for the first time in a long time, you start to feel your grip loosen on your fiddle.
What? Shit!
That is really terrible whiskey.
And your eyes start to clear. And then it's gone. All that feeling is immediately gone, and your grip is tightened back in your back as you were feeling.
I've gotta roll sense motive.
And then another wave hits you as your other hand, the hand that grasped this gun, spasms and closes in, and you see moving down from your neck, down into your hand, into your fingers, this black flowing liquid. It's flowing and collecting in your hands, and it begins dripping and running off, and it is painful. But that kind of antiseptic pain, like pouring alcohol over a freshly opened wound. It hurts, but it feels good as it begins to drip onto the ground. And you feel part of your mind clear as you no longer have any compulsion to go after Carter's gun, the Thundering Stallion.
I'm gonna go to sleep now. Good night. And he falls over flat on his back. And after a few seconds, you're not sure if he's breathing or not, but you definitely notice a little bit of fluid leaving his pants down his leg just kind of making a puddle around himself in the middle of the street.
He's so sweet when he gets like this. I'll just clean him up, I suppose, and put him down.
Jasper is just kind of stunned. It's got kind of a slightly horrified look on his face.
Don't worry, the whiskey doesn't normally do that. I gave him a little something to help with the gun, you know.
Whiskey, right, like anything flammable would have survived that wagon. He thinks to himself.
What was the sense motive for?
I want to see if I could tell he was struggling with potentially another curse beyond the one that I set out to remove.
I think with a 14.
Do I need to roll some?
Roll just a 1d20.
Okay.
And let me check your modifiers. Okay. Bonesaw, you could tell something was up. Something was going on. But you're not entirely sure what. And that's all you get from that.
Okay.
I would like to roll a sense motive on a less specific level. Just if I could tell what Bonesaw was attempting there. Probably Arcana. I'm assuming that was not whiskey because it didn't smell like whiskey, and I didn't think whiskey would have survived whatever happened to the cart. If there was like a potion being delivered and what it might have been for.
I don't think Bonesaw was hiding it. So I think Arcana might be a better roll.
Go ahead and roll a knowledge Arcana.
Okay. 10.
This was a pretty easy thing, and based on what Bonesaw said, you can probably guess that he slipped Moz a remove curse.
All right.
I'll probably have to get me tomorrow, but I can only make one today, and I'm not looking forward to getting black gunk everywhere, so...
Well, that was mighty righteous of you there, Bonesaw.
Oh,
Yeah.
righteous.
Well, yeah, taking care of Maz for yourself.
Well, Moss needs it more, clearly.
Well, okay, no argument there. But, well, I think this means that Smokey can enjoy the rest of the day then, and doesn't have to go back into her special home.
Aw. I'm gonna go ahead and cast Cure Moderate Wounds for Moz.
Thanks, Bones.
That says 17 points of healing. 21 more healing for you, Moz.
Okay, 17 plus 21.
For the rest of the day, you all kind of go about cleaning yourselves up, cleaning up a little bit, and eventually make your way into the room and attempt to find some sort of sleep. It's been a stressful day for all of you, but you now have some time on your hands to kind of figure out where to go next. And as you wake up the next day, early in the morning, and go out into the town, if it weren't for the, blown out side of the building and the shell casings all over and bullet holes, you would think that nothing had really happened. The town, despite all it's been through, is going about its way, and it's going about the rest of its life. And so now we're going to enter the downtime part. To give just a quick 100-foot view, a couple of things that you have on the table. Myra still has her thread of the deal that you made with the Fey Lady that needs to be dealt with. Catalina potentially has some work for you. Terrence said he wanted to talk with Bonesaw, and Jasper, you have the Ton who wanted to speak to you in a couple of days.
Is there like a place where I can buy like magical items or like peculiar things somewhere in town?
Yeah, there absolutely is. You kind of look through the list of things, and you see that the place that would be most likely to have some of this magical stuff would be Arcanium Industries.
Okay. Probably pay them a visit then.
Okay. You step into this store. It is just cavalcade of sounds and lights and carnival music, and you see a big sign on the back that proclaims, Arcanium Industries, we're the leader in magical equipment. Remember, it's not the best choice, it's Arcanium's choice. The sign actually, physically says this to you as you enter into the store. Some form of magic mouth. And as you walk in, a gentleman from the back of the store, you see a half-elf male, has quite a few piercings on him.
Oh, damn.
A black man with a short-kept beard, hair pulled back into a little bit of a bun, pointed ears showing his half-elf ancestry, wearing the uniform of Arcanium Industries retail workers, which is this white robe over blue and gold finery. And he steps forward and he has this very plastered-on smile and says, "Welcome to Arcanium Industries. What can I do for you, young sir?"
I'm looking to buy something that fits my style.
Well, we can certainly help with that, I'm certain. We have all of the things that you want here at Arcanium Industries.
Are you gonna be doing that the entire time I'm here?
I am contractually obligated to do so, sir. If I don't, I will lose a week's pay.
Y'all should unionize.
As soon as you say union, you see a red crystal glow in the corner, and he all of a sudden his entire face drops, and he turns and looks, and he just says, "Fuck."
What did I do?
What have you done?
And he turns back and he just looks dejected and says, "What can I get for you?"
Oh God. I didn't realize that slavery was still legal in the United States. Out of character, I've been looking at some magical items. Spellguard bracers, I think? And I would like to exchange my magic revolver for a regular one.
We'll do the full number crunching after you see he's, like, saddened and, like, all of that, like, put on cheer is just gone from his face. And he says, yeah, let's get you something what you need. You want the Spellguard bracers? Yeah, we can. Yeah, I can actually. Could probably whip those up pretty easily, or we can. Though he has lost like that put on demeanor, he actually seems like he's actively helping you figure out all of the stuff that you need through this. And he's kind of he goes through it, he pulls it down and says, what color do you want? Do you want? I got some blue ones. I could re-dye these into a red, if that's something you're looking for.
Got any in black?
And he pulls out 1, 2, 3 sets. He waves his hand, and one of the cabinets opens, and he just pulls something out of the cabinet, opens it up. It's a book, flips through. Yeah, I can get you some black ones.
All right. Much appreciated.
Throws the book back up into the cabinet, slams the cabinet with the mage hand. Says, by the way, I'm Caden Garrett.
Moz.
Nice to meet you, Moz.
You the same.
And look, don't worry about that. It'll be fine.
I apologize for the inconvenience.
Nah, it's not your fault. I'm just trying to help. Trust me. I mean, I wouldn't be out here if it weren't for, that kind of stuff. So, hey, just keep your eye out and don't be mentioning that kind of thing around the wrong people again, especially railroads or that kind of stuff.
I'll take that 2 cents.
Yeah, I don't want people getting in trouble who don't deserve it.
Understood.
He's gonna get you squared away, and with any other magic item, he's gonna take your gun off your hands for you and get those Spellguard bracers set up for you.
Okay, sounds good.
And he sends you on your way. Roll a perception check for me.
Okay.
16. You see him, he kind of takes the bracers, bunches them up, and helps you put them into your bag for you. And as you're walking out, you find a small silver tube that appears to be beaten and sealed up.
Okay. Once I leave, I'm gonna get a safe distance away. Is it like a container? Like, can it be opened?
Yeah, it appears to be a small container. It has a little cork stopper on it.
Okay. I guess I'll open that up and see what's inside.
You open it up, and you're immediately struck by this mixture of brimstone and salt.
Interesting.
Make an Arcana or a spellcraft check, whichever's higher for you.
Probably spellcraft. Yeah.
22?
Yeah.
Something tickles at the back of your brain, and you recognize what this is. It is a substance known as abjurant salt.
Okay.
It is a tool that is used to protect against evil conjurers.
Interesting. Is this kind of just like a bonus from Arcanium Industries, like you get the fortune cookie with the Chinese food?
Make a sense motive check.
Okay. 9.
Hard to say. It could have been, this is a bonus. Wrap it all up in the gauntlets. You open it up and, hey, surprise, you got a thing. You could be, setting up a trap for you. It could be, lots of different things.
Okay.
Hard to tell.
All right. Well, that was weird. I guess Moz is just gonna go and continue about his day then.
Myra, what are you thinking of doing for your day?
She's gonna hunt down people for some pay to help the bill. Money don't grow on trees. So in the morning, like when they've just woken up, haven't even gotten dressed yet. She knocks on the door and goes, "Hey guys, so $430. Yeah, I'd have paid that for the damage. So it's just, you don't have to. Just if you'd like to help out, I'd really appreciate it. So yeah, I'm going to go.
Wait up.
Sorry, Myra, I'm flat broke at the moment, but I have a suggestion. I was planning to put on a show later, and I was actually wondering if you'd want to shill for me.
Want to? I'm sorry. What?
Do you know what a shill is?
Oh dear God, dear Lord.
Corinne does not. Would Myra know?
I don't think Myra would know.
Bonesaw loops an arm around Myra's shoulder and brings her off to the side a little bit and says, "Well, today's your lucky day. You're now employed by Bonesaw. Now, what you need to do..."
She immediately grabs the hand, Bonesaw's hand that's draped around her, and she looks him dead in the eye and she goes, "You need to pay me back first."
All right. I'll get the money from Moz. I'll pay you.
Just split evenly.
But still open to the shill idea. Just put it, it's essentially, you sit in the audience, and then when I call for a demonstration, or I say, "Oh, has anyone here experienced Bonesaw's marvelous elixirs?" then you say, "Yes, I have, and they're wonderful, and they cured me of all of these things, my rheumatoid arthritis, and
her face is increasingly going like...
Bonesaw's not picking up on it. Not at all.
She kind of sighs and goes, yeah, I can do that. That's fine.
Wonderful. Moz won't do it for me anymore. Not since I broke his leg. But it was an accident, so...
Hold on. I'm sorry, did you say broken leg?
No, I said it was an accident, is what I said. And I fixed it right up. You're in good hands. Excellent hands, Myra. I'll get you the money. I'll see you later.
Yeah, you get me that money.
Myra, the mafia boss.
I might have to pay for a broken bone later, so...
No, I'd fix that for free. For good friends,
Uh-huh.
Myra, am I to understand that you fronted the money for this for us?
Yeah. So, just some help with splitting the cost. It'd be nice, It basically paid all my reward money. So
hold up, you twisted my arm clean round to get money from me, and Jasper gets an if you like, sir. Fine.
Well, Jasper's already got his money pouch out and is already counting out money.
See, this is why. This is why Jasper gets a maybe, and you get a definite.
Well, see, I ain't got much upkeep. Don't eat much, don't need much in the way of accommodations, so, yeah, I don't know, you paid what? You said $430?
Yeah.
Here's 150, and if you have any trouble getting any out of anybody else, just come back to me.
Okay. Thank you, Jasper. Thank you very much. See? This is how communication works. This is how teamwork works.
Right. I'm learning.
Okay. Actually, while Bonesaw's bugging her about the shill thing, she kind of drops her head a little bit and goes like, "So I saw you were fixing up Moz and stuff. You doing okay? There's a lot going on during the attack and everything. I just wanted to check up on you."
I didn't get shot or anything. Did you?
I think I went unconscious once, but I think that was the tea. But I think it happened again. Because got beat the shit out.
Hold up.
But, huh?
You drank someone else's tea.
Well, weirdly enough, it was someone disguised as you, and it was ironic that I still took it anyway.
It took you a whole day to say someone's waltzing around with my face on?
Oh, well, Vic, so the person we...
Oh.
Yeah, Vic, it was all Vic, so that was, I'm assuming, the person that caused you to go disappear.
Yes, I don't recall that bit, but I did wake up in the wagon, tied up and, lacking clothes and other
I see.
such amenities. Yes.
Yeah, you were a bit riled there for a while.
Riled. Yeah, yes.
Well, some might say unhinged, but I was going to go with riled.
Well, I don't like it when I can't have my mask. And Vic was making that awfully hard.
Well, that's understandable.
Can Myra do a sense emotive?
Yes. 17.
I want to know if the mask... So she's accepted that everybody in this group has got their own little weird secrets. And she's just gonna let that lie. But she wants to know if the mask is something that's good or bad. I know that's very vague, but if it's something where if he views it as like he needs it because he just likes it and makes him feel better, or if it's something where he needs it because of something that's out of his control.
Interesting.
That's I know, putting broads, you can tell me whatever you want with the 17.
No, I think, well, Gabby, you can answer that.
What would I roll opposed? Just because I don't think he's being super clear.
Roll just a 1d20.
Okay. This is so spicy. 9.
Okay. Okay.
I'm noticing some common
Adding
themes.
in the appropriate
More backstory.
thing. Myra, you get the sense it's a little of both, but neither. It's like...
So helpful.
Yes, I know, right? You're getting this feeling that he very clearly needs this mask. It doesn't feel the same way that both him and Moz acted around the gun.
Okay.
But it has this feel of nervousness and on edge that being without the mask is anathema to some degree. It's very bad in his mind.
The mask is very bad in his mind, or not having it is very bad.
Not having it.
By the by, you happened to see my, You didn't see anything strange, did you? Like blood or, demon shadows or anything like that?
Did she see any of that?
No, she did not see any of that from Bonesaw.
Jasper just figures Bonesaw needs that mask because he's as ugly as a mile of mud fence.
Jasper!
Well, no, this was a private insight into Jasper's inner monologue there. That was not for polite company.
Myra's showing up in Jasper's thoughts now.
Myra is Jasper's conscious.
So you didn't see anything like that?
Should I have her?
Oh no! I'm being silly Bonesaw. You know how I am.
Yeah, silly. Alright, well, I'm gonna go practice, shilling. So I'm gonna go do that.
Tell anyone you see, I'm going to put up flyers. I think we'll go later this
okay.
evening if Mars feels up to it.
That bastard needs to give me a chair. Anyway.
Well, before Myra vacates, I'm going to say, Myra, I am going to be heading my way over to the Southern Diamondback Railroad offices. I'm assuming they have an office here in town.
I believe so.
Yeah, well, got a bit of a promise that we made to a lady that I aim to fulfill. I'd like to put the railroad into a mind of maybe perhaps shifting their railway over a couple of miles east or west and out of that first world incursion area. Any advice, or do you want to tag along? It's up to you. I know you've got some kind of mysterious history. What I have never pried into. But you have let a few things drop over the last week or so. It made me think you might have some kind of insight as to what I might be getting myself into.
Myra kind of blinks and she goes, "Well, actually, I've been working on that before this, whole town blew up, and I really appreciate you helping me with this. And yeah, let's team up. And if you are going to the Southern Diamondback office, I would advise, just understand that nothing's a promise to them, and I'd go with you, but I just...
Well, I'd understand if it's uncomfortable or let's say problematic for you to do it. Mostly I was looking for advice, but your insight and your help would certainly be welcome.
Well, to be honest, I used to work for them. And, yeah, no, big secret, right? So, but there's a lot of hierarchy involved. So the Southern Diamondbacks are mainly run by, people like me, Lamia, or Snakefolk. And so there's a family that it's owned by.
Oh, thank goodness. I've been calling you that in my head, and I wasn't sure if it was a proper term to be using. You're okay with Snakefolk? Because I know it's what the kids are saying.
It sounds a lot like something very, very inappropriate, and I've questioned myself multiple times on if that's supposed to be pronounced. But yes. It does sound like something completely different. They're the Diamondback family. They're the people who run everything. So I'm not a Diamondback or anything. I don't have the pattern on me. You can tell just by looking at them which family is which. But you definitely have to show deference to them. That's really your only way to truly get in with them. If you can't make headway on your own, then come get me and I'll come in and I'll try to talk or something. But it's so.
Well, I'm an awful charming fella, and I've always considered my humility to be one of my very finest qualities. All right, well, there's a Perdition station here in town, but I'm not seeing offices of the...
Their office is under construction currently, and until it's complete, they are renting space from the Blackburn Cattle Company.
Well, I'd just like to say that the railroad and the cattle folk getting along together like that is just plumb unnatural. All right, well, I'll start off with the God-blessed Blackburn Cattle Company, with which we have had such a resplendent getting along together so well. This ain't gonna go well.
If you want me to stand outside, I could.
Well, I don't know. Are you likely to be throwing water or oil on this here fire?
Whichever it needs. I can do both.
Bullshit.
Well, then I'll head off to the Blackburn Cattle Company and seek out the local administration for the Southern Diamondbacks. And if you think your presence would help, it would be most welcome.
She'll tag along and she'll stand outside while he goes in, and if things don't progress, then she'll walk in and try to smooth things over.
Along the way, Jasper senses that some sort of social barrier has been broken, and he is asking all sorts of, are you warm-blooded or cold-blooded? Now, stop me if I get too personal, but I've just got a natural curiosity. Do you lay eggs? I don't. I mean, not you personally.
Do they lay eggs?
I'm just dreadful curious now.
Like, do I lay eggs? Am I cold-blooded?
Probably, yeah.
Little Corinne's running around.
As you guys are walking north, You all hear, coming from the direction of the church, not the loud, like the big clanging bells of the normal church day, but what sounds like a small handbell. Just a little ding, 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 ding. And both of you make a reflex save for me.
About to say that is a familiar sound, but it might not be. 24.
24 and 20. Both of you stop short as a gaggle of children just boom, run right in front of you. You almost trip over them, but you manage to keep out of the way. And you see all of them rushing towards the Shrine of St. Caxus. And you see, standing out in front, ringing a little handbell, is Duke Van Horn. He appears to be calling them all in, and as they're arriving, he's, patting them on the back, guiding them in, kind of brushing some of the dust off of them.
I would like at this point to make a voluntary will save, if I may.
Absolutely.
23. I barely repress the urge to say, "You, young man, stop running. I'll tell your father. I will find out where you live, and you be nice to your sister. I saw you pulling on her pigtails. You make her cry. I'll make you cry, young man. Don't think I won't tan your backside."
Yeah,
but
all of this...
I do manage to hold that back, but there is an obvious reaction that occurs and is suppressed.
Myra looks over and is like, "You okay?"
Oh, sorry about that. You were talking about, I guess we were talking about histories with people. This here situation brings back some memories. Well, wait a minute. Is that Duke?
Duke.
Pointing out towards the direction of the ringing bell.
Indeed, you see Duke Van Horn standing there. He doesn't have his cane with him. He's just ringing the bell. A couple of the kids are horsing around, and he walks over, picks them up by the scruff of their necks, and just separates them. Says, "All right, settle down, folk. It's time for the lessons for today. Come inside. We'll get started right away."
I'm going to try and catch Duke's eye.
Yeah, Duke is doing a scan, seeing if there are any more children, and he sees all of you, and he kind of gives you both a wave.
In that sense of game recognizes game, I'm going to try and pass that look like, "Students, what you going to do?"
Duke, he looks at you, and you have this look on your face, and he kind of, interesting. And he gives you a nod as well of recognition and a small smile of just like you said, game recognize game. And he says, "All right, let us begin. Time for basic arithmetic. All the children." He starts giving a lesson as he's walking into the church building.
Does Myra pick up on...
Roll sense motive.
Was Jasper a teacher?
22. Hell yes. You can actually see as the children were running past him, he stood up straighter, grasped an imaginary vest, and almost reached for a stick to swat the backside of one of these kids passing by.
Where's my switch?
And just disapproving look at the rowdier ones, and an approving look at the kid with the glasses towing all the books on his back.
Absolutely.
Well, son of a bitch, you used to be a teacher.
What makes you say that?
Oh, I don't know.
Actually, I take that back. He says, "What makes you say that?" And his folksy cowboy accent, for just a brief moment, is entirely gone and almost a New England accent.
She's looking at him like this, did you have a stroke?
No, let's just say I've lived a long life and worn a lot of hats. Okay. And this is only the latest.
I see. You had said you were kind of missing some memories in general. So, but this is one you still have?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it a memory, of more of like a reflex or a habit.
Yeah. Some
things you just never managed to let go of.
Yeah.
But yeah, that goes back to another time. And hopefully I'd like to get some of that back. As a matter of fact, if I ever find them goddamn scorpions. Pardon my French.
Honestly, if we find them, we can, you got us all to help you. So, and again, a lot of people in this party have their own secrets, but anybody that's an enemy of you is an enemy of mine, so.
Well, I think that's That's mighty neighborly of you, and I appreciate it, and the feeling is mutual. And yes, there was a time, long time ago, I had a family, and I had a career as a teacher of children. But those things have passed. Family is no longer in this world and just barely inside my head now. And you might have heard me asking about a watch every now and then. Well,
Yeah.
if you ever do find that watch and I'm not around in more than one way or another, I'd take it kindly if it were laid to rest with me. There is a photograph that may or may not still be in it that I would dearly love to have returned.
She makes a mental note, and she just kind of nods, and she pats him on the back and goes, "Well, I think at the very least, I think you'll get a lot more stuff back. I think if you can see a group of kids and snap back into Teacher Jasper, then I got some high hopes for you. So, imagine you teaching a lesson. Good lord."
You both arrive at the Blackburn Cattle Company, and as you are just about to step in, the door opens and Jesse Blackburn steps out.
Oh, this asshole.
He's smoking one of those big cigars. He has his twin revolvers at his side. He's not wearing his typical overcoat. He just has this purple shirt on. One of the buttons is undone. It has his suspenders. He chews on the cigar a little bit and stops as you both approach and say, well. Look what we have here. Look what the Wildcat drug in.
Pleasant day to you.
You two made a bit of a mess in town, I heard. Or at least you were with those who did. Little rat man that made the whole place go boom. Mr. Marzipan.
Mr. Marzipan, it's canon, it's happening. It's happening.
I'm looking at him like, what the hell is he talking about?
Have we met him before?
You guys have not met him. Just Moz.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay. Myra's gonna stop and kind of give him the look and be like, "Excuse me, sir, can I help you with something?"
No. Can't help me with anything. At least not from what I heard from my cousin.
Cousin?
My cousin. She sent some of her friends to deliver a message, but it seems like it was returned to sender. I'm Jesse Blackburn.
Pleasure?
Cousin, let's see. So your cousin would be mean, rigid, spiteful, straight razor toting woman named Helen?
He gives you this very hard smile. And he squints his eyes a little bit. He grinds the cigar in his mouth a little bit, takes it out, blows a big puff in y'all's face as he puts it back. That'd be her. Not my favorite cousin. Not by a long shot. She's
I can see that. I can see why.
Yeah. Doesn't take after most of the family. Thinks there's more money to be made on the rail than in beef, but she wasn't always the brightest one. Not like me. I see everything. Everything.
Well, you're a very interesting person.
Yes.
Thank you for giving us your time of day. If you don't mind now, we got some business inside.
He places a hand on your chest, Jasper, and says, folk like you want to be careful in this town.
And why would that be?
Don't want to cause too much of a ruckus.
Folk like who?
Know what I mean, leather boy? And he slaps you on the cheek.
I do not take well to this. I'm going to go up and I'm going to flick those little bits of ironmongery sticking out either side of his schnoz.
Myra's gonna, like, whoa, like, separate the two and, like, whoa, Jasper, you really don't want to piss this guy off, because not only is he a member of a powerful family, but he's crazy, and you can't fix crazy. So,
You do see he has his hand on his gun as you do this.
If I have not actually yet flicked them, I will take my hands down slowly and kind of tidy his front of his shirt there. My apologies, friend. It seems that we have gotten off on the wrong foot.
I suppose we have, haven't we? Watch your step, friend. Won't always have your snake charmer here to keep you safe.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, wow.
Sense motive.
I'm just automatically assuming it's a derogatory term, like mudblood or something.
Yeah, it's fairly insulting.
Is he implying that there's a certain group of people that are here that take particular issue that would not take kindly to Jasper and try to go after him?
I think with a 6, you're not able to tell.
Okay, she gets a really bad feeling and she's like, all right, Jasper, let's go. And she grabs his arm and leads him into the shop. And she actually kind of looks around. Can I roll a perception check to see if anyone's watching us?
Yeah, go ahead. 18. All you see is Jesse standing there, a smirk on his face, one hand on his gun, the other hand on his hat, and he tips it to you. And as he does, he just moves his fingers so he flips you off with it as he fixes his hat.
She doubles and they go.
He gives you a wink and says, "Next time, honey, we'll see how quick of a draw you are." And he walks away.
She's literally double fingering him as he's walking away. But silently, so he doesn't see it, and she like pushes Jasper in the doorway.
The two of you walk inside, and immediately upon walking in, you see Terrence Jubilee sitting in a chair, a cigarette like in his mouth, and a match that is burned like halfway down. An unlit cigarette. Like he was in the middle of getting ready to light it, but was just fascinated by what was going on and watching what was going on. And you see Wilmington Clark, the Diamondback Railroad representative, sitting there, hand on his watch, just watching the entire situation. Both look a little freaked out to some degree.
Well, I don't think I've ever met somebody who had a hornet's nest where his head should be. And I will say that out loud once we're entered, because Jasper does not de-escalate usually. Or does not de-escalate well.
Terrence gives a snort of a laugh as you say this. Wilmington kind of gets a little huffy and says, "I would appreciate it if you wouldn't endanger our relationship with the Blackburns any more than it already is. And especially not with that man. That man is, literally any other Blackburn I would be okay with you going toe-to-toe with. Not him. He is an insane person."
Yeah, he's really, really unstable, that one. Don't worry, we're just here to chat.
He's crazier than a sack of cats, that's for sure.
That's certainly true.
Well, anyway, let's put him out of mind. I'm here for a specific purpose, to keep a promise to a lady.
Yes.
And I will look at the Lamy and immediately come to the assumption this guy must represent the Southern Diamondback Railroad.
Yeah, he was the one who introduced himself as the Southern Diamondback representative. He does have that Diamondback pattern kind of on his scales as he goes up, wearing a white crisp suit, a white bowler hat, very fine gold all over, smoking a cigar, and is the exact spitting image of Leighton, who gave you the job back in Ravenspine. Honestly, if you didn't know that they were two different people, you wouldn't know. They look identical.
Well, they all look alike to me anyway, so.
You should say that out loud.
You're in the middle of the Diamondback office. Just say that out loud and see what happens. Do it for science.
I don't de-escalate, but I certainly do not throw gasoline into the fire.
Hey, what was the diplomacy mission you were on?
Yeah, let's see how this goes. Moz, you finish up with Caden for a little while, and you leave the Arcanium Industries. Make a general perception check for me.
17.
Okay.
Not bad.
You see the Undertaker. He's doing more of the cleanup from yesterday. You see him just dragging a body through the street of one of the gnolls that you crisped. The raven that was sitting on his shoulder yesterday is sitting on the building next to it and is watching as he's moving the guy. You continue to look around, and you hear what sounds like some fiddle music coming from down the street. You said you wanted to look up the Jackal fellow, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Give me a knowledge local check as well to this perception check. 21, that's pretty darn good. You ask around a couple of the people in town, and you get some laughs and kind of, oh, yeah, sure, we're all looking for it, buddy. And one of them in particular says, go ask the sheriff. She'll tell you right where he is.
Okay. I guess I'm paying the sheriff a visit as well as bringing the sheriff out of my pocket as a brief moment of confusion as, he's right here.
You walk into the sheriff's office, and she is sitting there going through some papers. She's hanging some up on the wall, just kind of hammering them in. And as you enter, she says, well, hi there. What can I do for you? Mr. Pryor, wasn't it? Mars, I believe?
Mm-hmm. Can I do a sense motive?
Yes, go ahead.
I do not remember telling her my last name.
I bet she's hanging up wanted posters.
With a 5, you can't really tell anything. She seems pretty stone-faced as she's hanging up some wanted posters.
Interesting. Okay. The poster reads, Wanted, Short Round Gang. It includes Frodo Stilts Cavendish, the gnome with no name, spelled with a G-N, and Tommy the Face Buggins. And it appears to be a very small group of ragtag criminals wanted for questioning over the Sturgis coach robbery, 100 each or $350 for the lot.
Oh my god.
Okay. Moz is also gonna do a brief glance at the rest of the wanted posters, just kind of seeing if, anyone he knows is on there, particularly himself or family.
He does not see anybody in particular.
Okay.
But he does see one poster that looks like it was hung quite some time ago.
Interesting. Another wanted poster, the Bronze Jackal. Wanted for the precious metals and payroll from Grimestone Mining, destruction of Arcanium Industries property, and cattle rustling from the Blackburn Cattle Company. Alive $1.
What?
Okay.
That does not sound like much incentive.
Yeah. Funny story, that. Actually came around here looking for a friend of mine.
Ah, what friend are you looking for? Nobody who got in trouble, was it?
No, this is a good pal of mine. We, brothers in arms, so to speak. Matter of fact, it looks awful like that there poster. You catch my meaning?
She takes a blink for a second, holding her hammer, glances at the wall. Ah, the Bronze Jackal. You're really dumb enough to go after him.
Oh, not for reward, so to speak. I was hoping to share an evening with him over a couple of drinks.
Yeah, you and me both. She sets down the hammer, goes and sits down at the table. I'd love to find out who he is.
Seemed to notice a moment between y'all in the midst of all the chaos and commotion. Can I do another sense motive just on how well she actually knows this Bronze Jackal?
Go ahead. A 10 sense motive versus, roll for her. Oh, you can tell that she does not seem to know who this person is. But you can also tell that her wanting to meet the person doesn't seem like it's from a legal point of view, necessarily. Like, it is not... She doesn't want to know who they are because she is the sheriff. She just wants to know who they are because of who they are and what they've done.
Might I ask about the reward being so measly for a supposed criminal?
Absolutely. You see, the funny thing about this Bronze Jackal, there's the thing that poster doesn't mention is how he's been helping run off some of the rowdies from the Galloway family what been threatening families on the outskirts of town. Doesn't mention how some of the local farms that have been running into trouble with the Blackburn Cattle Company, they've been seriously handled by this Bronze Jackal. Doesn't mention how when a group of outlaws that were coming down the street not only managed to help out, but didn't kill nobody when he did it. In fact, to date, despite having over 20 interactions over the past year, not a single person has died at the Jackal's hands. Now, of course, he's doing all of this stealing from the major companies and all of that, and, well, we can't have that. That's wrong and bad to steal from this major corporation. And, well, I was dragging my feet a little bit, and Mayor Edgar decided that if I wanted to keep this job, I needed to post a bounty. So that's what I did. I posted a bounty.
And you're doing a right fine job of that.
Thank you very much. I think that it is perfectly appropriate. It's the kind of thing that will only get paid out if they're brought in alive, and it is a bountiful amount for somebody who is in this line of business. Wouldn't you agree? Especially when you have $100, $50, $700 over here.
Any leads on where I might find this jackal made of bronze?
Got any beef with the Blackburns?
Beef.
Or Grimstone Mining?
I've had my share of encounters, ranging.
If you find yourselves bearing down on some outlaws who were totally not hired by either one of those companies for any sort of business, because why would they do that? That's illegal. You might find yourself getting a hand from Jackal.
I like your style of justice, Sheriff.
I take care of my people, and I take care of the people that take care of my people.
I'll keep that in mind. Now you have yourself a good day.
She nods and says, "You too, Mr. Maz."
Alright, Maz is gonna leave.
As Maz comes out of the sheriff's office, Bonesaw is there with, like, a bottle of something, and he's like, "Oh, hello, Sheriff Catalina? Can I call you? We're friends, right? You said you liked me. I thought you might want some more alcohol, like before."
Are you attempting to bribe a sheriff?
Oh,
mister?
absolutely. Yes, definitely. That one. 100%.
That's the thing.
And it's Sheriff Leo's to you.
Sorry, what's that tone?
I'm just fucking with you. Come in. Come in.
Excellent. Oh,
You can call me Catalina.
yes. He claps Maz on the shoulder and says, "I'm going to need some money to give to Myra for a thing she broke or something. I didn't really listen, but I owe her some money, I think is what she said. And I think Jasper said you had my pay... You know, I'll let you handle that, but,
Oh, right. Here's your share. It's, might be a little bit moist from, last night, but, it's all there.
Oh,
you know I don't mind a bit of moisture, Mossy. Thank you for holding on to it for me. Yep.
My pleasure.
Pockets the money.
oh no.
After sharing a drink with the sheriff, he's got a couple of other errands about town. Bonesaw is expecting mail, so he heads to the mail post.
Okay. You go inside to the Overland Mail Company and you see Terry Roberts is in there. He's sitting on a bed that's designed for centaurs to kind of lay down comfortably. He doesn't have his bags on him. They're off in a corner, and he's sitting there cleaning the rifle that he was using extensively yesterday. He has it mostly disassembled and is, going in there. Make a perception check for me.
25!
Excellent. You notice that the entire room is very well organized. Honestly, you've seen some postmaster areas before, and this one is definitely, it is well designed. It has all of the equipment stacked up. It has everything that he needs. You see one area that is specifically labeled Pony Express, and then right next to that, you see one that reads Dead Letters. And most interestingly, as you're kind of looking at Terry as he's doing this cleaning, you look over and you see on his back haunch, you see branded into his skin is a big US.
Holy fuck.
And he says, what can I do for you?
Actually, I was really curious where you got that. And he points to the brand.
Bonesaw, your subtlety is negative. As Bonesaw says this, Terry flushes a little bit red with embarrassment and says, "I don't really like to talk about that."
Oh, sorry if it's a touchy subject. You don't have to. I am a patent medicine man, and I make miracle elixirs, and I could, fix it if you want. I'm doing a show later.
No.
You should definitely come to my show.
Thank you for the offer. That's okay. I don't need that. It's nothing. It's an old wound. I don't. Make a knowledge history check.
I'm not trained in it.
Then you cannot make it. You could potentially mention it to somebody that you know that has it, but...
Well, in that case, I'm here for mail. Have you got anything for me?
What was your name again? It was Bonesaw, wasn't it?
Sorry, I wasn't sure if we'd... Bonesaw actually pats down his pockets and he finds a little slip of paper, pulls it out, squints at it, and reads it and says, mail for Templeton Throckmorton, please.
Make a diplomacy check.
Have an alias called Throckmorton?
11.
He looks you up and down, and he sets the rifle kind of down just within arm's reach. And he stands up and looks you over and says, "Now, Mr. Bonesaw, you, that's might suspicious, and you know that robbing the mail is a federal offense, right?"
I don't really have room in my head for all those fiddly little laws, but, I care a lot about this mail, and if I have to steal it to get to it, I will. Can I roll intimidation?
You can try.
This is gonna go well.
24!
Oh, wow.
Gonna roll for him, but he doesn't have that great, and I don't think it's gonna fucking hell. That's a 7 that he rolled. You see, he looks freaked out as you say this. He picks up his gun and he says, "Now, sir, I'm going to have to ask you to step out before I have to call the sheriff."
Bonesaw uses his full 7 feet to kind of loom and say, "This doesn't have to get messy. I just want my mail."
Do you have any form of identification on you?
I don't have quite on me, but if you wait, I can probably get some.
I would appreciate it. And you see his hands are shaking, like he's clearly very freaked out.
I as Gabby feel terrible. I as Bonesaw am committed to making bad but interesting decisions. Very well, I'll be back. Can you just tell me if it's here or not?
Yes, it is here. I would need to see some identification, though.
Fine. Boring. Fine. I'll be back. Bonesaw flounces out.
As soon as he has taken a dozen steps down the street, he sees the door open, Terry step out, close it, lock it, and he is dashing towards the sheriff's
Good
office.
thing I bribed her first. This chaos thing is working for me. Okay.
Is it? Is it?
You're enjoying yourself, aren't you? I'm enjoying
I
myself.
can just see Bonesaw going, yes, it's all going according to plan.
Okay, let's go 3 for 3. I'm gonna go real quick, just talk to Terrence, if I can.
Yeah, absolutely. You make your way up, and it is right around this time that Jesse is walking down the street
Oh, God.
right towards you.
Of course.
Because this is the kind of day that this is going to be. He is walking down the middle of the street.
Is he one of those people who walks straight towards other people and expects them to jump out of the way?
Yes, he is.
Fucking... I'm not jumping out of the way. We're gonna play chicken in the street. I'm just gonna, keep walking. I will bowl him over if he's not gonna move.
Make a CMB for me.
Okay, as I'm getting closer, because I can do this now after leveling up, I would like to activate my mutation
Jeez.
without drinking anything and grow to my
Jesus.
full height with all of the muscles and everything. Not saying a word, just I'm walking towards him and I sort of swell intimidatingly and just casually keep walking.
Okay.
23.
His CMD is 26.
No fucking way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're walking straight forward towards this elf who is about a solid foot shorter than you. And you're like, fuck no, I'm not getting out of the way of this elf. And as you do, you get just about close and you're like, well, fine, if he's not going to move, I'm just going to bowl right over him. And as you do, and as you get ready, he puts out a hand and just, boom, stops you dead in your tracks. And he looks up. Well, you're a large slab of beef, aren't you? You're one of them folk that's been going around and making trouble in my town, aren't you?
Oh, actually, I can help with this issue. I'm a doctor, so I have lots of things for, bleeding in the brain and general stupidity I can help with, too.
He's gonna fucking kill us in her sleep.
He grabs onto your lapel and starts to pull you closer and says, buddy, you and your friends have not been in my town for 24 hours. You're gonna make life here very interesting, aren't you?
Well,
gonna be
I aim
fun.
to entertain.
Shut up, I'm talking.
No! I will not! Can I smash him? I don't care
You
if
want
he's
to
gonna lay
attack
me
him?
out in the street. Yeah, I do. So, I don't have crux with me. I'm just going to make a claw attack.
Okay.
20 to hit. I'm just gonna, swipe up and try to scratch him across the face.
Again.
You go to scratch him, and faster than you can almost blink, he is backwards. You take the cigar out of his mouth. That is all you do.
No smoking for you! How dare you tell me what to do!
Almost before you can blink, you feel cold iron pressed against your gut. And he looks forward and says, "You know, maybe I should just teach you, your friends, a lesson. Lay one of you out here in the street. Nice little quiet shot, I bet, even through all of that bulk. It won't rattle around too much. Get you a nice belly full of lead."
You think that's going to scare me? I've already died once! I came back! I don't think you will when I'm through with you. Even if you could, it's hard to find a nice life as a zombie with little bits of you all over town.
Crazy? Me crazy.
I need to roll a check for him.
Do you think I can recognize he's a Blackburn?
At this point, yes. You can probably tell that he's a Blackburn. Like, he wears the colors of the Blackburns. He smiles and says, "I like you. You got heart." And he takes the gun away from your stomach. "You don't back down even when you're in the face of your betters. We could have a wonderful working relationship, you know? But I'm getting ahead of myself." He is going to step to the side. "My apologies, Mr. Big and dead."
See? Manners. Even stupid people can learn.
You know the fun thing about the fast talkers and the ones who like to joke in the face of death? And he leans in close. They're the most fun to break.
Will you have fun with that? Bonesaw feels like he's won because Jesse steps aside, so at this point, he's just making noise. You know, nothing really to worry about. Clearly, he came out on top in this encounter. So he sort of pats him on the shoulder and says, "You have a lovely day. Come to my show later. Maybe I'll give you a free sample."
Oh, I'll certainly come by your show. Good luck in town. Hope God's smile favorably on you.
Bonesaw's already walking. He's like, I could stand here getting the last word all day, but, you know, I'm busier than this guy.
Yeah, you walk down the street. Jesse does not take his eyes off of you the entire time you walk and leave.
Bonesaw ignores him. He's already forgotten.
Damn it.
Yeah. This ends badly.
I know!
Did Maz see this encounter go down?
Make a perception check. With a 12, probably not.
Got it.
You might catch Bonesaw walking down the street with a bit of a jaunty swing in his step.
And a few extra feet to his height.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That's probably the more noticeable trait. Just putting that out there.
Wilmington says, "What can I do for you folks? You did a bang-up job for all your hard work for us in the past couple of days."
That's a real good word for it. Actually, if we could have a moment of your time, you might want to handle this in private. I don't know much about your business dealings and such like this, but I do have a bit of news that might be of interest to the railroad that occurred while we were out on the trail.
Terrence, kind of taking the hint, and says, I'll head out, and there's some business I can take care of in town. Need to get Clarence and Avery off out of town for their disciplinary hearings, but...
Tell Avery I said hi.
Will do. I believe he would have some choice words for all of you, but frankly, I don't see the need to repeat them, because they were quite offensive.
I think we already know what they were, more or less, so...
I think we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Terrence leaves, and Wilmington gets up and goes over to a desk and kind of clears it off and says, "Now, what can the Southern Diamondback Railroad do for you today?"
Well, sir, when we were on our way northward to Perdition, we ran into An interesting phenomena in between this city and Ravenspine. It appears that there is an area of wild magic in between, caused by an incursion between this world and the first world. And I think that, I don't think, I was told by the inhabitants there, a certain Fey personage, that this is going to cause considerable difficulties for both parties. I'm sure you don't want your railroad going through an area of dead magic or wild magic or any of that sort of stuff. And they don't particularly want all that iron coming into the first world. So I made a promise that I would come here and let you folks know about it, that maybe you could shift the line a couple of miles east or west. I think it would serve both your best interests to do so.
As you say this, his face is kind of dropping, and he flicks out his tongue in a little bit of frustration, and he says, Hellfire and damnation. Where was it? And he pulls out a map. It has a couple of small towns kind of going down, and you show him on the map where it is. It's circling a town that was formerly known as Mudpost.
Before I actually point it out, I would like to roll a sense motive on the source of his agitation.
Okay. With a 20, what you can tell is his frustration is it's coming from a lot of perspectives, but the biggest one seems to be, this is going to make my life way more complicated than it should be. And it is frustrating that I have to deal with this bullshit. He rubs his eyes a little bit and says, all right. Well, this isn't exactly the end of the world. You said it's going right through this area, and he points out, and it's the it's what we had discussed before. It's a fairly large area that runs a good distance from the mountains, getting close to the riverside of the Rio Grande. It's a big swath of land. He sits back and is considering for a minute and says, she was just in control in this area in particular.
Control? I assume. It's really kind of hard to tell with Fey folk exactly what they actually control or controls them, or I really can't rightly say I know an awful lot about them, other than that, well, sir, it was weird there. All kinds of things going wrong or wild with magic. I personally, I do not think it was a place that I would like to build anything in. It just sounds like it's more trouble than it's worth and probably costs money in the long run. Compared to, like I said, just moving the tracks a smidge to the east or west. But I don't know nothing about building no railroads. That's your bailiwick, sir.
Yeah, well, that certainly is my bailiwick, and I have a bit of a mind for numbers, and fortunately that puts us in a right pickle. I mean, I'm assuming your friend knows all about this railroad business, and points at Myra. But as you can see, part of the issue is a lot of the reason that we picked this particular route is, for one, we were able to get a good deal from the various peoples of the area who are willing to sell to us, and particularly the town area that's, well, apparently no longer there. Fortunately, that's going to be mighty expensive, and going closer to the river, well, that's not quite conducive. You see, that area of land is controlled by the Galloways, and now I don't know if you've heard of the Galloways. They're not exactly on sharing terms with us at the railroad, and we would be paying oodles more. I suppose we could... And he starts kind of talking, and he leans back. I suppose if we include a couple of iron rails going down the sides on intervals, we wouldn't have to worry too much about interfering folk. I wonder if we could build an entire iron lattice around the entire area. Now that could work. Wouldn't have to deal with anything, and we could hire a few more laborers and a little bit of extra. He's clearly running through the numbers and trying to figure out what's going to be the least expensive and least difficult in the long run.
I will just politely be a fly on the wall, but I am paying attention to every word he says, just in case some word needs to go back to that Fey lady.
Okay.
I do not mention that we have a coin capable of contacting her. Just in case he says, posse with about 500 iron bullets could probably save her.
I will say, from what you're hearing kind of coming out of his mouth, his calculations are definitely more on the side of just get her out of the way or deal with the first world stuff rather than deal with the Galloways to build closer to the river.
Myra kind of sighs a little bit and she goes, "Look, I know it may seem easier just to do that, and I kind of know what you're thinking, but I'm telling you, this isn't one of those. We couldn't get out of there without the lady's permission. If you walk in there, you ain't getting out without her permission, and this is some magic that goes way beyond any sort of regular magic you see out on the plains. Just don't save yourself the trouble and the agony of dealing with basically a hole in reality. And again, I get the whole getting land cheap, but in my professional experience, you definitely don't want to go that route with these people."
Make a diplomacy check for me.
Yeah!
A 17. Wilmington leans back in the chair. His tail is flicking and wraps around the table, which you, Myra, definitely recognize as like a bit of a nervous tell among the Diamondbacks in particular. This is like relying on your experience with them. You're pretty good at being able to read them. Mm-hmm. You could tell that your words have had a decent effect on him. And he says, "It's fair. It's fair. Frankly, it would be a bit of a challenge. Now, I'd love to be able to pull this off, but frankly, right now it's y'all's word that there's an issue with all this versus our surveyors who have been working around the clock. I'm gonna have to run this up the line, and I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a mite difficult."
Of course.
He taps a finger on the desk. "I'll tell you what, we've been having some trouble with our steel lately. We've been trying to buy it from a purveyor back east, and they've been a mite unhelpful. It's something that we've been able to work with for now, but could be better. If you can go talk with the Grimstone Mining Company on our behalf, see if they could free up a little bit of steel to come our way, I would be able to put this forward in a mite more convincing light."
We'll see what we can do.
I don't know what we can. What incentive are you offering to the Grimstone to give you this favorable price?
Well, same thing that I always offer them. Money. But I've been talking with the local representative for a long time, a little one known as Vi Desmond. If you talk with her, see what is in her bonnet about getting me the steel. See what she wants. She doesn't care for me. She seems to find me, I believe the word she used was condescending. Never know where she got that idea from.
Women, what can you do?
Uh,
I do not say that.
Myra would shoot you dead.
I was gonna say,
Exactly,
Myra's
yes.
just had it with this aggro party. She was just gonna go right off in the sunset. set up tent.
Hey, you don't know I've been aggro. It's secret for now.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah, he continues. If you figure out what she wants, get this business deal going, I could probably grease the wheels a little bit, and I think we can do business and see about moving that.
Well,
right.
let me clarify the situation a little bit here. I'm a messenger. I do not have a vested interest in this. I merely made a promise in exchange for our freedom from the First World that I would pass this message on to you folks. I really, really don't know if I'm the best person to send to Grimestone.
Why not? You're regular old folk, ain't you?
I'm regular old folk. Let's just say that they have hiring practices that are not very discriminating, and that some of the folks, I've had altercations with some of the folks that they have hired that led to my present condition.
He leans back and he picks a loose scale on his neck a little bit, and it pops off, and he kind of and flicks it.
Oh my God! Ew!
Hey, it's natural. It's natural. Skin sheds. Okay, let's be sensitive.
You don't see me sticking a finger up my nose and flicking no boogers at nobody.
It's picking out a pimple. That's all it is.
I don't
It's
want
snake
to see
pimples.
that either.
Oh yeah. Well, that makes it all better.
It was definitely the kind of thing that, like, a high-class gentleman getting caught doing that is pretty kind of, like, scandalous. But he's trying to play it off, and he's like, I see. Now, do they know that it was you?
I don't think that they're in the habit of asking questions like that. I have a feeling that this was not a policy of Grimestone itself, but of the type of disreputable folk that they have hired in the past.
Oh, that's fair.
I do not hold Grimestone responsible for this, but if, for instance, any of those low-down, mangy, no-good polecat pieces of work, and by work, that rhymes with shit, pieces of work were to be present, I do not think that such a meeting would end in any diplomatic fashion.
I can understand that.
It's a matter of honor, you see.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. I understand that. The Grimestones are absolutely despicable. They would never hire, they would hire those people, and absolutely terrible, Such poor business practices. I can guarantee that the Diamondback Railroad Company would never stoop that low to hire some no-good outlaws of that kind.
Thinking back to a certain work gang employing gnollish torturers, I keep my mouth shut.
It might be in y'all's best interest to have a lady take point on that then. But if you're able to get this deal with the steel, that will lower our costs, and it'll make it easier for me to justify to the higher-ups.
Okay. We'll go and sing that we're third-party contractors in case something does, in fact, pop off. It doesn't ruin your relationship with Grimestone Mine Company.
Why, that's might friendly of you. I do sure appreciate that.
Well, it's same goals and all that, so we'll make sure to keep things civil within reason. And she kind of looks at Jasper to kind of read his tone.
Civil is as civil does. If I don't see anybody what has done me wrong personally there, you can be sure that I will be the very flower of diplomacy.
Sounds like a plan. Good day to you, ma'am, gentlemen. And with that, you are whisked out of the Blackburn mining. It's around this time you actually see Bonesaw.
So he probably looks really pissed.
Bonesaw look big.
Maz, what's on your mind?
I think I would have seen Bones in the street, but I do remember hearing some fiddle music earlier.
Yes.
Thought I might follow up with that, as I'm a fiddle player and can't have anyone stealing some of my thunder in this town, no sir. So I'll go look into that.
You make your way towards the middle of town till you come across a large building, especially compared to a lot of these other small kind of shacks. It has a bunch of windows, but they have heavy curtains all around them. It's the building directly in the middle of town, and specifically, it has 3 doors on the front, and adorned above it are 3 hung horseshoes. And it reads, the Three Clops Theater. And you're hearing this fiddle music come from inside. As you open the door, you are treated to a very interesting scene. several people on the stage, apparently running through rehearsals. There's some elves, mostly humans, but at the center of the stage, singing a very flowing aria, a beautiful, lilting song. You see a female centaur. She has her brown hair pulled back, wearing a red half-dress that is tied in the front, wearing long black gloves. And she's singing this song, and you see, standing by the front of the stage, a short gnome with a white pointed beard, hair kind of flopped forward, playing the fiddle, wearing a purple vest with a popped collar. And in the middle of this fiddle solo, he suddenly screeches the fiddle and says, "No, that was wrong! Wrong, 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 wrong! I cannot believe I must work with these amateurs. And you, Cameron White. Horrible, horrible. Oh, like always, I don't even know why you bother being in the theater." And the centaur woman who's on stage steps back and says, "Jim, I appreciate the feedback, but I don't think that is very constructive. We're trying to run through the rehearsals in time." Oh, you think that what I'm doing down here, I'm just playing around? I'm trying to rehearse too. What, do you think I just across? No. I'm trying to make art, which is better than what you are doing, Cameron. You are worthless, not even worthy of trotting the boards in some bordello. But you know all about that, don't you?
Wow. It's pretty harsh.
Now, if you'll excuse me, let's take it from the top. 1, 2, 3.
Dust and Blood is a Rolling Path production featuring Corinne Hill as Myra Sting, Blake Alfson as our GM, Zach Parker as Maz Copernicus Pryor, Keith Curtis as Jasper Graves, and myself, Gail Parker as Bonesaw. Our theme song is Dust and Blood by Arne Parrott, and other music throughout this recording is provided by Kevin Macleod, Tabletop Audio, Dark Fantasy Studios, and the Desperados 3 original game soundtrack by Filippo Beck Peccoz. Transcripts, detailed sound credits, and more can be found on our website at dustandbloodpod.com. You can follow us on X and Facebook at Dust and Blood Pod, or support us through our Patreon at Dust and Blood, where you can join our community Discord and get perks like our behind-the-scenes discussion show, The Roundup. We're so grateful for the support of our fans, people like Haz, Highland, Sleeve McDykel, and 50 Sloths of Grey. Dust and Blood releases monthly on the 1st, and our next episode is coming at you in June. Content warnings can be found in every episode description, and we hope you enjoy exploring this fantasy western with us. Thanks for listening.
I shoot open to the early morning sun. I feel that aching, pounding, poking of a bullet in my lungs. Skin is sealing, bones crunching. I feel that wretched ancient something drag me up to face that coward son of a gun. His face grows white as he fumbles for his holster. I feel the lead pierce my shoulder, neck, and chest. I scream that I have died 100 times and lived 1,000 years, and I'll be damned if a boy like you's gonna be the best. Yes, I'll be damned if a boy like you's gonna be the best.
Is Grimstone or Grimestone?
According to my notes, both.
Okay.
Out of character, I'm perfectly happy to split that cost. Do not.
Oh, she will bother all of you
Okay,
for help.
good,
She's
good.
like, "Hey, so I had to pay for the room."
Maz is not going to help with that whatsoever. He wasn't
Oh
even
my
setting
God.
foot in the building, so that's between y'all.
Myra will remember that.
Oh my god!
Oh no.
Interesting.
Murder him with fire!
You have the fire. Do it.
Blake, you have such a talent of making me instantly aggro at any character with exactly like 2 sentences. I'm just like, I'm there. I'm gonna smash them. I'm so ready. I'm so glad I'm playing a character that can actually do that, because all my other ones are so like reserved and careful, and it's like, no! I would have hit people!
have a talent for making a character hateable.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Didn't you guys say in order to make a villain, like a really hated villain, don't make them evil, make them an asshole?
Yeah.
Yep.
Best tip for GMs
That's
if
fair.
you want your PCs to go after someone.
Make them an asshole.
That's fair. That's good. That's good advice.